Destination Nightmare, the B-Movie Podcast.
I'm confused. So, that's why I watch movies like The Blood Beast Terror.
Yeah.
I was going to say it reminds me of another movie, but I'm not going to say it because I guess it's a surprise kind of who the moth person is or whatever. So.
Oh, okay.
I had seen it before, but I don't even remember it that much. Apparently, like, Peter Cushing thinks this is the worst movie he ever did. I didn't think it was that bad.
It's all right. I didn't mind it. It's short. It's only 88 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that fast. And it just, I think if they had a slightly better monster.
Well.
Oh, actually, I think that scene, there's a scene where you see the other monster. The moth. It's got like, it looks like it has like hair combed up straight and gelled.
Yeah.
That made it look stupid. When you saw the other monster, like in the woods, killing people, that wasn't too bad.
It reminded me in The Monster of the Wasp Woman, a movie that we did.
Yeah.
It looked like it was a similar makeup, except this one was a little bit better. It had wings.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards, but it was kind of like, again, I don't know why people hate this movie. Well, they don't hate it, but I don't know why they put it down, or Peter Cushing did, because I've seen stuff that he did, which wasn't as good, I think, or at least entertaining. I didn't mind it. The other guy in this movie, the professor, was, Robert Flemyng, who was in a couple of Italian horror movies, Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, and The Ghost, both with Barbara Steele. So I forgot that he was in this movie. I was like, oh, cool. And I didn't know. I'm thinking he's British because I don't think this movie was dubbed. I don't know. But,
he's British.
Yeah, this was made by what, Tigon Studios or something like that, which kind of was like a Hammer-ish studio or whatever.
They were a production and distribution company. They did a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
So. With
Peter Cushing, I think, was in a few of them.
He did The Creeping Flesh, which I like.
That was good.
Yeah. And Blood on Satan's Claw. That was a good movie.
That was a real good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't, I didn't know, it wasn't a bad movie.
It wasn't up to Hammer, because Hammer had better production.
Right.
But, you had the countryside, you had the British cottages, you had Cushing, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it was a little bit low budget, you know what I mean? But at the time that I was watching it, it didn't feel like it to me, So.
No, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. It lacked, you saw the monster pretty much.
You saw it a few times.
Yeah, and quick, and you kind of got a gist of what was going on. But I think that one scene where you saw what's supposed to be the monster's mate with the hair sticking up, I think that just sort of.
Oh, you're talking about the cocoon thing?
Yeah, the cocoon thing. I think that just took away from the monster's mystique.
Yeah, well, that was supposed to be the mate, right?
Yeah.
They're making. Well, we got ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert after the fact. I like it when they tell you the spoiler alert after,
Yeah.
You spoiled it, but.
Yeah.
But, so this movie was set like, I guess in the 1800s or something like that. They were still doing like horse and buggy carriages or whatever. And, well, let me get my notes here. Because I got, like, my memory is a sieve now or whatever, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I guess the first scene is a guy, he's in a carriage, right? And then he sees...
No, the one I saw, the first scene, you see this British guy all in white with that white hard helmet, whatever they have, and he's being rowed down a river with some Indians or natives or whatever. And then they land, and he gets off, and he's walking through the mud, but he's like staying... this is... like Mr. Clean White, his outfit. And then you see him pick up some, I don't know what, you don't know what they are at first, but they look like tamales or something, because they're like big.
Did you watch it on YouTube or another?
I watched the link I sent you.
Oh, because I watched it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember that scene at the beginning.
Yeah, it was the very beginning, just before the credits. And you don't know what's going on, and actually you could have done without it. But then the credits come, and then you see like a guy, they're riding
the
carriage, and
he just sees a dead body.
Yeah, and then the guy's got his throat ripped out, and then he looks up and you hear this screech and flapping the wings, and then he goes. Apparently, he went insane from it, and he keeps. I forget what he's saying, but he keeps mentioning something.
So did that prologue? Because again, did I miss it, or did sometimes on YouTube I've been noticing that they cut the opening credits out of stuff, maybe for copyright reasons. I'm not sure. I remember watching the movie, and I just remember seeing the guy in the carriage. I'm wondering if you saw a different version of it. I could be wrong though. Maybe like a blacked out or something like that.
Possible.
I don't know.
Like you said, back then, they would sell different packages,
This movie had different names.
Yeah.
The Vampire-Beast Craves Blood or something like that. I'm pretty sure that was one of them. Then another American version.
Beast Craves Blood, Blood Beast from Hell.
Yeah.
Deathshead Vampire.
Yeah, right.
So, and it was about that time they were like just packaging different movies to be sold to the United States for being shown on TV. So it's quite possible.
This is a TV print or TV title or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's, I don't know. So anyway, the guy, so the guy saw the guy dead there. I don't remember, did he see the moth creature or no? No, he just saw the guy.
Right, you hear it, the coachman.
You hear the wings.
Like a screech and you hear the flapping of wings, so you don't know what it is. It's obviously some flying thing. So then you meet Peter Cushing and his helper. They're investigating the murder.
Well, no. Wait, because I wrote down after the dead body and all that, it cuts to Robert Flemyng giving a lecture on moths.
Oh, see, there was a...
That's what I remember. It cuts from like that scene, and then it's like this whole lecture on moths with these students that he's given to or something like that. That's what I remember.
The one I saw, I think it had a picture. They were talking to the coachman who went insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Peter Cushing decides or thinks that there's a homicidal eagle on the loose.
Okay.
And also as they're searching the scene, they find these large moth scales. Oh, yeah, there was a scene when he went
in the very beginning, like it's like the second scene.
I forget why he went there.
There was the beginning of it is that scene where the guy sees the dead body. Then I remember there being a scene where like the doctor's giving this long, boring lecture on moths, the dragon's head moth. And then like there's another scene after that where like one of the students puts like a fake tarantula on the daughter and she passes out and the doctor kicks him out or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And then for some reason Peter Cushing went to see him. I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Peter Cushing went to see him because he found there was a dead guy.
Right.
In the wagon. Remember, there was a guy in the wagon, the guy that she bled. But when they were at the wagon, the paddy wagon or whatever, the guy looked like he wasn't dead. And then I think Robert Flemyng, let me take a look inside. And he did something to him, and then he goes, no, he's dead.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And Cushing was there because he was an inspector or something like that.
Yeah, and I think they were students of
entomology or whatever that.
Yeah, of Flemyng. Yeah, bugs.
Yeah, right, bugs. Yeah.
So I think that was it, and that's why he went to talk about him and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So
so then there's another killing. And
was there the guy in the hospital too? Was the guy in the hospital? Was it the guy in the? Was he dead or was he still alive? The guy who saw it the carriage driver. Did he didn't get?
He's still alive, but he's in an insane asylum.
That's right.
And he's going on about a winged creature that scared the hell out of him and stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at another scene of killing, they find these large flakes or scales. So then Peter Cushing goes back to the doctor and asks him about it, and Flemyng tries to take the scales from him, but Peter Cushing only gives him one.
Yeah.
And he's acting all suspicious. And that's when Peter Cushing asks him about an eagle.
All right.
A homicidal eagle be the culprit, and that Flemyng shows him a stuffed eagle, and it doesn't look. It's not very impressive. So then, after he leaves, you see the butler goes in and he's tormenting this eagle. That's
right.
the doctor. And then let's see.
And then let's see. And then at some point around that air time, a new guy shows up in town.
Yeah, that's the guy in the boat.
Right.
From the very beginning.
Oh, that guy. Oh, that's the guy. See, because I didn't remember where he came from.
Right.
Because the version I saw, I don't think had that beginning in it.
Yeah. At the very, very beginning, you saw that guy collecting the chrysalis or the moth cocoons or whatever they are. So he comes with the chrysalis for for Flemyng, and he meets his daughter, and they start flirting and stuff. And then she asks him she invites him to a play that the students and her are giving.
It's like a Birkenhair kind of Frankenstein-y thing or something like that. Weird
thing. And then something happens to interrupt them. What the hell is it?
Well, when they're watching the play, I just remember seeing the play, and after it was done, was in that play, was his daughter wearing a black wig or something like that?
Yeah, she was wearing a black wig. She was the first guy that they were operating on passed away. Birkenhair brought him in, and he said, "Oh no, he's had rigor mortis for so long. He's no good." He put his arm up, and it just stuck up there all throughout.
Yeah. And then they bring in the girl, and they go, "Well, she's still warm, so we can, because they were trying to do something with a frog, right? They were trying to revive a frog in some scene or something."
That's an old experiment. If you put two wires and run electricity through it, of like a severed limb, you can make the muscles twitch. And back then they thought that perhaps electricity was the secret to life. And some people, I don't know if they actually tried to revive
Frankenstein.
Yeah, but that's where that concept came from, Frankenstein.
That's where that concept came from trying to revive frogs doing the electricity?
Yes, believe it or not.
God, I never knew that. That's crazy.
Yeah, when they kind of discovered electricity, it was like this new magic wonder thing.
Ben Franklin, right? Or something like that?
All sorts of things.
Was it Ben Franklin who kind of discovered, with the kite and all that crap, or was it something?
Oh, there's a couple of people. Ben Franklin did that. There was also some guy named Galvin or something.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of little pieces that came together to form, oh, this is electricity and stuff. And, so that's right. They did that play. They bring her back. And then.
Well, she goes up to the new guy, the guy in the intro, which they was cut out of the one that I saw, and he knows her, and he goes, "Let's go out afterwards," or whatever.
Yeah. So
cause that's why it was weird, because he was a brunette, but then when she goes out with the guy, it's a blonde. I go, well, I guess that's his daughter was in the play or something.
She was in the play. So then they are, running around playing games in the woods and stuff, and then for some reason.
Was Cushing around there
Peter
too?
Cushing was going back to talk to Flemyng, and he hears the guy scream.
Yeah.
And he comes to him, and he sees him, and
he sees the attack.
Yeah, the guy in the all white. He was still alive, and he said to Cushing, he goes, "Deathshead." Then he dies. So then they bring the body to Fleming's, and they say, "Do you know him?" And Flemyng goes, "I don't know him. I've never seen him before." "Oh, he's dead. I can't do anything for him, and I don't know him." Well,
and when the attack was going on, the doctor's assistant was in the woods too. Remember, the one with the scar? He was watching it or something.
Yes, he was watching her. He was following her.
Yeah.
So then,
was the next scene when the doctor's assistant gets killed by the bird or something like that?
Yeah. And then for some reason, he's going in to feed the eagle, and he can't find him. And then suddenly I don't know if it's the eagle or if it's maybe the daughter as the werewolf.
You don't even know. You just see somebody attack him.
You just see him get killed and all ripped up and stuff. So they throw him in this pit in the cellar, or this like locked room in the cellar.
And then meanwhile, I think Cushing is snooping around the house, right? And he goes into it and he sees like a dead carcass.
Yeah, no, not yet. He goes to his superiors and they say, "We want you to go on vacation." He's like, "But I got a murder investigation I'm doing." He says, "Well, let the other guy do it. You go on vacation." Oh no, Peter Cushing refuses. He says, I got this thing I got to do. And he goes, "All right." So then he's going to take his daughter,
right,
to, like his aunt's house, just to get her out of the way of the danger.
And Cushing finds the assistant dead too in the house with like all bloody.
Yeah. So then they leave. On his way, they're going to go to the railway station, and he hears from one of the sergeants that the guy who whispered Deathshead did know Flemyng and the daughter. So then Peter Cushing with his daughter, he also finds that the doctor. No, that's right. He goes to the house. That's when he finds the dead guy.
Yeah,
and the room filled with bones and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he
but he talks to two women too, who I think were the house cleaners, and I think the professor had moved. Right. There was a scene, and they said something about like they both said in unison something. I forgot what it was, but I think Cushing went back to the thing, and the doctor had gone, and he grilled the two women, I think, who were his cleaners, and he said no, he just left, and he left us,
Yeah, and didn't pay us or something like that.
He didn't pay us, yeah.
So then he finds out that he went to someplace up country, and so Cushing and his daughter go up there, and he's incognito as a banker, and he went up there for fishing, and he meets another guy who is up there for fishing, and his son is a bug collector. So the Cushing's daughter and the bug collector, they kind of hit it off. So you see them out in the woods doing, he's running around like a fool trying to collect butterflies, and she catches one and lets it go. And then he catches a death's head Morton, puts it in a killing jar to mount it in his collection. And then Cushing, he and the girl are talking. He's looking at his microscope.
The professor's daughter sees the two.
Right, yeah, she's watching them and sees the two. So
and she kicks him out. She tells him to get lost.
I know, it seems a simple movie, but it has kind of a lot of moving parts.
It has a lot. I got 7 pages of scenes that I wrote down in here, There's a lot of little scenes that
I think they were there to fill out the movie, because there was like some supposed budding romance between the bug collector and the But anyway, as the bug collector's talking to the daughter, he says Deathshead moth, and then Peter Cushing jumps up and says Deathshead moth. And he's showing him what it looks like, and then the guy goes, "Oh look, I even have some scales," and he shows him in the microscope scales from the moth, and then Peter Cushing takes out his giant scales, and he realizes they're the same thing.
And then it cuts to at some point the doctor in his new lab or whatever. He's got a giant moth hanging,
and that's the one. I think that's the scene where it kind of killed the monster, because it supposedly, I think there was supposed to be strands of silk holding the moth up by itself. But it just looked like. Remember when in the Three Stooges, when Ma would get scared and scare it all? That's kind of what it looked like. It's like, that's a stupid looking.
I just assumed it was in cocooning and it wasn't fully formed yet. I don't know.
Yeah, if they had taken that off and maybe just put antennas on it or something, I think it would have been much better.
So then, the moth needs blood. The new moth needs blood. The new creature. So the professor's daughter is in the carriage and sees Cushing's daughter walking around. So she says, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just walking around. You need a ride? And then the next scene you see is she's in the slab getting a transfusion.
Yeah, giving blood for the moth.
For the new moth or whatever, And the professor hypnotizes Cushing's daughter, kind of like, Dracula in a way.
Right.
Like, when I call you, you come back.
Right.
So
and you find out that he's trying to create a male weremoth for his daughter. Now, I don't know if it's actually his daughter.
Yeah, you don't find out until later.
Yeah, that he turned into a weremoth, or if he created her and she was able to change into a human. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That was a little vague or whatever.
Yeah.
Because a hell of a doctor if he can turn a moth to a hot chick like that, It's like, okay, cool.
So there's a groundsman, or gardener in the house, and he's young and handsome, and that's the only one she kills. She only kills young, handsome
guys.
Guys. So he's there, and she flirts with him, and then they run into the woods, and then he. And
that was a scene where that was a scene where she takes him out in the woods, and she's making out with him. All of a sudden, she puts her hand up, and the hand turns into a moth hand, and you go, "Oh, so it is her." Yeah.
And that's when you kind of get a better view of that moth. And that wasn't too bad.
And it flies up, right? Or something
flies straight up. And the Flemyng goes out and finds that she killed the gardener. So then he goes back and he goes down and he confronts her, and you hear more about, I made a mistake when I created you and created this, and then he throws something on the male cocoon, and it bursts into flames.
There was a scene before though where the guy, the father of the young man, he finds the dead. They find
the dead groundsman,
and that gives Cushing more clues as to what's going on or whatever.
Right.
And then Cushing calls the police and tells them to come over to the village because he thinks that he knows what's going on. He called the superintendent or the sergeant or whatever, Mr. Mutton Chops or whatever.
Yeah. So then the bug collector goes to the Flemyng's house, and he wants to show them the Deathshead he's caught. And then he meets Claire there. And then she won't let him in. And then she says, "What do you got there?" He says, "I got a Deathshead moth," which apparently that's what she is, a giant Deathshead moth. And she goes, "Well, he's not here. You can't come in." And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he goes to walk away. And it's getting like dusk. And she goes, "Well, it's really dark out here. I'll walk you." So he starts walking her. And in the meantime, Meg, who is still hypnotized, she's walking back to Flemyng's house.
Yeah, the daughter called her back, right? Hypnotically or whatever.
Yeah, to do the more blood transfusion.
More bloodletting, yeah.
And then she walks into the lab, and then she sees Flemyng dead, and that snaps her out of her hypnosis. And she grabs a lamp to see where she's going. She runs, she trips and faints, and then the lamp goes on fire. Meanwhile, Cushing is on his way to the house because he knew that the groundskeeper, Cushing and the cop, the groundskeeper was from Flemyng's house. So he runs there, he finds his daughter, picks her up and carries her out. And then they hear the bug collector screaming because the Flemyng's daughter turned into a werewolf and was attacking him. So they start shooting at her. She flies up. And then Cushing sets a pile of leaves on fire. And because she's a moth, she's attracted to the
flame. Yeah.
Flies down into the flame and dies.
That's the last thing I wrote. It says like a moth to the flame. Okay. The end. Weird movie, man.
Yeah, very weird. And again, when I saw it, I'm like, a werewolf. I have to see this movie.
Weird movie. I remember watching it a long time ago, but I just kind of forgot about a lot of it, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think I watched it on something like Commander USA or something. You know, all those shows had like 8 million interruptions, so I may have even stepped out for a while or something. So, and I know I have in storage somewhere a DVD of it, but I don't even think I watched it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it was like kind of watching it for the first time or whatever. So I didn't mind it. I mean, I thought it didn't bore me. It just, like you said, it had too many scenes in it.
Too many side tracks. Like, you didn't really need the sort of romance between the kid, the bug collector, and the daughter. You didn't even need the daughter up
You
there.
didn't even need that play that they did. You could have cut to the part where, like, the professor's daughter recognized the guy and they said, "Oh, hey, you're here. You know, let's go out." And you could have easily cut out like 15 minutes out of this thing or something like that. So,
and there was things they could have like built up, like when the girl faints and sets the house on fire. I mean, they drop it. They don't even. Oh no, they put the fire out. But it's like, well, that could have been more dramatic. Add more time with the house is on flames and Peter Cushing has to run in.
You know, I don't know. It could have been fine at 80 minutes. I mean,
they could have got the whole thing with the daughter. They didn't need the daughter in there for any other than
his daughter. Well, just to be another victim.
Daughter. Yeah, they needed the moth daughter. You didn't need Cushing's daughter. I don't know. Maybe they.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting what you said because Cushing's daughter wasn't like the moth daughter only attacked guys.
Right.
Because the Cushing's daughter wasn't attacked. She was put on a table to be bled or whatever. So, you know, I guess she liked guys and she didn't like, you know, females or something. That was interesting. I don't think that was talked about in the movie how she, like you mentioned it earlier, she only attacked men.
Yeah, she only
when they had a
men.
female victim, she was bled.
Yeah, and I don't know if, I assume the blood was for her, but it also seemed to imply that the blood was for the male werewolf that was developing. So I don't know how that worked. You know, it was with a little bit of tweaking here and there. Like if she only attacked women, that would be a good reason for Cushing's daughter to be there, because then she would be in danger and he would have to save her. Whereas, you know, she's there for, I mean, she didn't really do anything.
Cushing's daughter?
Yeah.
I guess she was just there to be another victim or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, I mean, I didn't mind her. I mean, I didn't think she was unimportant. I thought the play was kind of not necessary.
That was a weird sort of left turn in the movie. I'm like, what the? Because it was almost like like you said, those two guys.
There's two guys playing Burke and Hare, and then it became a Frankenstein thing.
Kind of thing too. I'm like, where is this going?
I guess it was like a student. I guess it's the students. His students wanted to put on a play or something. I don't know. That one to me could have been taken out. Those 10 minutes could have been taken out and made into a shorter movie or whatever. But you know, I don't know. I mean, you know, although I wasn't bored.
No, I wasn't bored. I think though, after he saw the play, he got the idea to try electricity. I'm sorry. After he saw the play, he got the idea to try electricity to get the moth to grow faster. And that's when you saw the thing where he's doing the operations on the frog.
Oh, was that why he was with the frog? He was trying to get it to grow faster. Okay.
Yeah, but that was a really awkward way to introduce that into the movie.
Okay.
Because the play took a lot of time, and you're almost like, where is this going? What am I seeing?
I mean, what is this foreshadowing? That the daughter is a monster, or that you know. I mean, I picked up that it was her from one scene where it was like it was early in the movie where like somebody came in and they said that I think the new guy came in and he was talking to the doctor and her, and he said something, and the doctor and his daughter just looked at each other. I go, oh, she's bad too.
Yeah.
You know, at first you didn't think that, because that one scene where they put a spider on her, she passes out. It was like, oh, she's probably like a, weak, female character or whatever. But no, she was the wasp woman or the moth woman or whatever. Now what's the deal with that urban legend of the Mothman? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard about it, read about it. Supposedly, there's this.
It's somewhere up north,
Virginia or West Virginia, I forget.
Yeah.
There's this winged humanoid with glowing red eyes that flies around and only appears in moments of tragedy or stuff. But people have conflated two events at the see, like when the Mothman appears, tragedy's going to happen. But when people first started seeing this, basically it's like a headless humanoid figure with these wings, and it's dark, it's got glowing red eyes, and it doesn't flap, it just sort of lifts up and flies along. And when the newspapers were first reporting about it, they called it Big Bird.
Mm. And
then for some reason they changed it to Mothman, and they saw it at some where they would store TNT during the Civil War or something. I don't know. And then a tragedy happened in the city where they had built a new bridge, and it was Christmas time, and there was traffic. And because of the lights and the amount of traffic, there were so many cars on the bridge, it caused it to collapse. And so the people sort of said, brought the two together, and that, the Mothman appears when tragedy strikes. And if you listen to how the first earlier reports, it sounds more like maybe it's like some military guy in a motorized flying suit or something.
Mm.
And but now when you look and hear Mothman, it's totally changed. It looks like a giant man moth. You see the head. It's got glowing wings, and sometimes it has bat wings, and it's kind of one of those people see something and then
urban legend
kind of thing, and then they start equating it with everything else. You see something in the sky. Oh, it's like same thing with like UFOs. You see something in the sky, like a plane, tilted so you can't see the wings. And, it's a flying saucer and stuff.
Even Frazetta did a painting of the Mothman.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That painting does not look like what the people who first saw it described it to be. It was sort of a headless thing, and with kind of like straight wings, and it would fly. It would just like fly along like an airplane. It wouldn't flap. But that's what I mean. Over time, it changed to become a giant, like Frazetta style Mothman thing. They even have, I think in the city, they had this big metal statue of the Mothman with like big butterfly wings. And
in your area, really?
No. That's in the city where they saw it.
Oh, Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia, West Virginia. I think it's West Virginia.
Okay.
Not sure. I know. But yeah, so it's one of those things where, people see something, and then somebody else sees something else, and they say, that's what it is. It's like the chupacabra.
Chupacabra, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Bigfoot.
First, you hear the first descriptions, it looks like sort of like a head like an alien gray, and it's almost like a kangaroo-like body, and it's got spines on its back. And then for some reason, people started seeing these dogs that were like, I think they were like, they call them blue dogs. I think they're like a dog-coyote hybrid, and they got mange or heavy metal poisoning, and it turns their skin kind of bluish, and people started calling that the chupacabra. I was like, that's nowhere near the same thing,
Well, that came from Latin America or something, didn't they? Yeah. Chupacabra or something like that. Bigfoot would be another one,
Yeah, Bigfoot. Yeah, that's the same thing, or sea monsters. People see something in the water, they don't know what it is, and suddenly they start calling it a sea monster.
The Loch Ness Monster or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, that kind of looks like a beaver.
Yeah, but I think they even made a movie or a book called The Mothman Prophecies or something like that,
Yeah, the guy, I read that book, John H.
You did?
Yeah, a long time ago. And, so he went down to investigate. In fact, he's a big, tall guy. He, wore black suits. And he would go and, knock on people's doors, the witnesses' doors and stuff. And people would see him, and they started linking him to the Mothman, like he was some weird agent or weird demon in human form. Mm. And then when he got home, he started to get weird phone calls, and then someone was impersonating him. It's like this whole weird. And I don't think he ever saw the Mothman. In the book, the guy sees the Mothman.
Okay.
The movie, the guy sees the Mothman. Was it Richard?
I saw the movie. Okay.
Yeah, Richard Gere. Not really the same as the book, because the book was trying to discover what it was, and the movie was more like, like a horror movie kind of thing.
That's what I thought. You know. I'm wondering now, because I never watched the X-Files, if the X-Files ever did a show about this. Because they were always into all this weird stuff like that.
Yeah, they might have. In fact, they did one thing about the Chupacabra, and there was some guy with some blood disease. I don't know, it was a guy, not the weirdo little monster that was first reported. So sometimes they would do popular things like that, but put a twist on it. So
I got to tell you, though, I read one time that there was an episode of the X-Files that they only showed once, and they never showed again because it was too disturbing. And Chris had a box set, so I said, "Hey man, do you have this episode?" I forgot what it was called, but it was basically about again, when you mentioned Virginia, that's what tipped me off to it. A family in West Virginia, which is family in the country, and they were all inbred,
right?
But they were all deformed and stuff like that. And the mom kept having their kids, and they kept. It was a horrible episode.
I saw it. It was disturbing. The mom she was deformed. She had no arms and legs. She lived in the bed.
Yes.
And the sons, there were 3 sons, and they would murder people. I don't know if they eat them or what. And then they had some disease where they can't feel pain. So every morning they'd have to stand in front of her naked, and she would look at them to see if they had any wounds or bruises or whatever. And then at the very end, there's one guy who's left. So he puts his mom in the trunk and he drives away.
That's it.
To start somewhere else, and now he's going to be her husband. It's like, ugh, it was all.
And it wasn't there a scene in it where the mom was going to have like a baby or something like that?
I think so. Either that or
something
like that. Yeah.
And it was extremely disturbing.
Well, she had a baby and it was stillborn, so they buried it, and they found the body. Something crazy, weird like that. It
was a messed up show, and they
there
only showed it once.
One scene when they find her under the bed and they pull her out, and you see her, and she's got, just like her her arms look just like little fins.
Yeah.
Face is all distorted and just, ugh. Yeah, that was
it was, you did see that. You you saw it on TV then, for the only time it played.
And never saw it again.
They never played it again. It's only on the box set. I forgot what it was called, but it was like, and then again, something else. There's another. I know we're sidetracking, but what the heck? There's a show on YouTube. I guess you call it a show. It's a video. I think it's called Soft White Underbelly, and it's about people in the U.S. who are like, I guess whatever you want to call them, misfits, like prostitutes, former drug addicts or whatever. And the guy kind of photographs them artistically in black and white, and they tell their story. There was one story they did about a family in West Virginia where they were harmless, but they were all, inbred, and mom was the mom of all of them and stuff like that. And I'm wondering if that family was the inspiration for that horrific episode of the X-Files. I don't remember what the name of the show was, but if you have a box set, you can probably figure it out on
Home.
Online. What's it called? Home?
It's called Home.
Yeah.
Second episode of season 4.
It's totally disturbing. Totally horror movie. Yeah. It's almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but worse, maybe.
It's one of those things where it's just really, it touches on creepy because you could almost believe it's real.
Believe it, yeah.
It
goes a little too far, but that's because it's for television and for a dramatic reason. But you could believe that this happens, definitely, and it's horrid. So I guess the X-Files went too far at some point in their career or whatever. I never watched the show.
They were good. I liked the X-Files when they were doing weird things and you didn't know what's going on. As they started to get more towards, finding out the bees were going to infect people with the virus, to do this, and I don't know. And then, Fox Mulder became, more like a Christ figure. It started to get into weird.
Oh, really? It got like that?
Yeah, it got weird towards the end, and it's just like, I liked it better when,
they were just agents.
Yeah, just agents trying to figure out what was going on. Sometimes you don't need to know what's going on fully. Just to know that there's something
out there.
Yeah, that you can't quite figure out, but it affects you.
Now, of course, you always wonder how many of these storylines were actually were stuff that they found people that they told them, that might have worked for the FBI, that they kind of told somebody, a producer or somebody about, and then they fancified it. You wonder about that.
Yeah.
How much of this was really something that was being investigated at some point, regardless of the dramatic, overplaying that they did on the show or whatever.
I mean, I'm sure in some of these really rural communities.
Yeah, it has to be.
There's got to be.
There's got to be some germ of truth.
And I think that's why it makes that episode so creepy.
But I'm pretty sure that nobody now is trying to create a moth man or a woman. But you never know.
You never know. A monster
You never know, because they're getting real wacky these days with all their, what these scientists are getting a little mad or whatever.
They are mixing human genes and mouse genes and pig genes.
Oh,
I think they're. I heard of one thing where they're trying to mix pig DNA with human DNA so they can breed a pig that can be harvested for organs for transplant.
It's horrible.
That's like, ugh.
There's a song by the Kings called God's Children, and it talks about, I don't want to be, I just want to die the way I came. I don't want to, I don't want to have any pig, intestines and put in me or, whatever, that's crazy stuff or whatever. Yeah. But, I'm sure they're experimenting it, but Robert Flemyng did it first.
Yes.
So, I guess you could call this a Frankenstein-y type movie. You know, maybe that's why they did the play. You know,
it was kind of a like Frankenstein. Yeah, it probably was like more like a Frankenstein movie because he's trying to build something from other things.
Did it really explain how he made the moth creature? I mean, was it basically he took a moth and through electricity it grew to human size? I mean, did it explain how he genetically turned a moth into like a weremoth? I mean, that wasn't explained in this movie, was it?
Not explained at all. Just that he built the first one, which was his daughter, and then the second one he was working on, and he was trying to get it developed faster, or to become a moth faster or something. I don't know.
Because I was thinking, how did a moth turn into a hot woman? Did he just the only rationale that I could think of was maybe he had a daughter who died and he had some kind of DNA and he combined it. But I don't think that was talked about.
Yeah, that would be the only way.
Yeah, like if he was a mad scientist and he was trying to fuse two things together. If he had some of his daughter's blood or DNA or something, he merged them and she turned into a part-time moth and a part-time. It was more like, it wasn't a weremoth, it was like a vampire moth, really.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't think the Deathshead moth is a vampire. I think it eats wood.
It doesn't drink blood.
No. I don't think there's any moth that drinks blood. Yeah, so why would it? So maybe blood had some component that
but it wasn't explained.
Yeah, it wasn't explained. It was an odd, maybe if they had a different kind of monster, or maybe she caught vampirism and he was trying to cure her. That would have been
or maybe maybe his daughter was dying and he found some kind of enzyme in the moth to keep her alive, but it also turned her into a moth creature. I mean, something like that. I mean, hey, we just came up with that out of the blue, you know what I mean? Yeah, it doesn't take much, but I guess they didn't really think about it. They just said, we got a moth monster, let's do it. Oh, well, I still like the movie, so. And
it was fun.
And it's a B movie. You're not going in there thinking that, everything's going to be explained for you and whatever. You just take it as it is and, you move on to some other cheeseball movie or whatever, so.
Yeah, it was a good, fun movie,
Took a little too long.
Yeah, the padding was, I think if they padded it in other areas, it would have been a little better,
Yeah.
Like, there were some things you didn't need, and there were some things that could have been explained better. Like you said, you could have showed him playing around with enzymes or
something.
Something.
I mean,
to show
all you had was that play, and I don't know what was in that play that was so important to the plot, unless it was insinuating that the doctor had Burke and Hare bring him dead bodies, and he was trying to do something with them. I didn't get it. You know? I mean, I didn't get it. So that play had to have been there for some reasons besides just to pad 10 minutes or something. And
it didn't explain his reasons. He didn't seem like fanatical, like he wanted to create life. But
no,
again, if his daughter had been dying or dead, and he did the moth enzyme, whatever.
That's what I said. Yeah,
his daughter had died, and he knew that there's some enzymes when a caterpillar turns into a moth
that could keep her alive.
Then maybe he could use those enzymes to turn her and bring her back to life.
But the side effect was that she turned into a moth and she needed blood.
Human blood, yeah. See, that would have been good. If they kind of worked that in somehow, that would have made a little more sense than he just made a weremoth. Poof.
Yeah. Oh, well. It's too late now. The movie's already done.
Right.
If we do a remake, then we'll put that plot in it. But, unless there's some producers out there waiting to, give us money to make the Blood Beast Terror 2, the explanation, then, it's not going to happen. So, but anyway, that's it for the show today. Yeah. Did you want to do, the Hollywood Nights for the next movie?
Yeah, let's do the Hollywood Nights.
It's some fun.
Yeah, some fun and goofiness.
Some stupid, shenanigans and childish stuff.
I think our podcast needs some extra wang.
Yeah, this movie is pretty real.
Yeah.
But funny, though. A lot of nice cars in it, too. A lot of 60s cars. But, man, it's like, can you make more of a shameless imitation of American Graffiti? I think not, but hey, whatever, It took it American Graffiti and kind of put it in the gutter.
Yeah.
But still fun,
Still fun.
So anyway, that'll be the next show. But in the meantime, Roddy, tell us what we should be doing.
You should watch more B-movies.